Math 20-1 students, we're looking at lesson 4.3, solving quadratic equations by completing the square. So we're going to start off with something more basic and work our way up just to show you how we go from vertex form, and for something even simpler like x squared equals 25, how do we solve for x? Well, in order to solve for x, you always do the opposite. So the opposite of squaring something is square rooting. Now, what is something that's really important to remember is that whenever you square root a value, you're going to have to actually include the positive or negative version of the answer. The reason being is positive 5, if you square that, will give you 25. And also, if you take the negative 5 and square it, you also get positive 25. So you need to account for both situations, or any situation that gives us 25, and that would be when 5 is positive and negative. So example number 1, we're going to determine the roots, and that's just another way of saying solve for x. So again, we're going to always work our way in reverse BEDMAS order. So we're going to have to get rid of this 2 first by square rooting both sides. When we square root both sides, the square root cancels with the 2 because those are opposite symbols. But on the right side, instead of square root of 25, we're going to have to write positive and negative 5 to account for both possible scenarios. Then you're going to move this positive 1 to the other side by subtracting 1 on both sides. And those cross each other off. So then what you're left with is x equals positive negative 5 minus 1. So what we're going to have to do is realize that x can have 2 solutions. We can have 5 being positive 5 or 5 being negative 5. And for each situation, we have to subtract 1. So we could have 5 minus 1 is 4 as a solution, or we can have negative 5 minus 1, which is negative 6, be a solution. So there are 2 x-intercepts here from what we've just found. Example B, same idea, but we have a 0 on the right side, so we're going to have to move that subtract 8 to the other side first. We're going to have to go 2x minus 1 squared equals, instead of negative 8, we're going to have positive 8. Then we're going to have to divide by 2, which is your a value. That's going to divide to both sides, leaving you with x minus 1 squared equals 4. Now we're going to have to square root both sides, leaving us with x minus 1 equals positive negative 2. And then we're going to have to add 1 to both sides. So that means that x could equal positive 2 plus 1, or x could actually equal negative 2 plus 1. So that means we can have 3 as a solution. And we can also have negative 2 plus 1, which is negative 1 as a solution. So again, there are 2 x-intercepts, or 2 roots to this quadratic equation.